Hey everyone, welcome back to the Daily Gold Podcast. Today we're chatting with a new guest. He's Darren Wagner. He's the founder and current CEO of Balmoral Resources. Darren, how are you today?
I'm very good. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty well. You know, as we get started here, why don't you tell us about your experience prior to Balmoral and then how Balmoral came to be?
Yeah, for sure. I'm a professional geologist, so I spent about 8 years working for a couple of the big mining companies in Canada, in Noranda and Cominco, and then came out into the junior space in about 2000. Helped to help set up a group of 3 companies: Platinum Group Metals, Mag Silver, West Timmins Mining, all of whom were very successful discoverers. Basically, we're exploration-focused group, and 3 very successful discoveries there. One of which is currently a mine, one of which is currently building a mine, and the other one is about to start building a mine. So that's not a bad track record. Ran as principal, as president and CEO, ran West Timmins from its inception back in 2006 through its eventual sale to Lakeshore Gold in the fall of 2009 for about $424 million. And then took the team and looked for another suitable project. And for us, those really are we call them district scale opportunities, so large opportunities in proven productive districts. And Balmoral is exactly that. We put this together in the fall of 2010, and it's large land position focused on the Detour Sunday Lake Gold Trend in northern Quebec. And very similar themes to the other companies. Really, that's district scale, aggressive district scale exploration in the shadow of successful operations. And in this case, Balmoral sits in the shadow of what will soon be Canada's largest gold mine across the border in Ontario, and that's Detour Gold. So we control about 80% of the belt, and obviously with Detour having shown us that there's a tremendous allocation of gold out there, it was a really simple concept to say where there's some, there should be more. And certainly in that Abitibi belt in Ontario and Quebec, that's been the history. Where there's a multi-million ounce discovery, there are usually 3 or 4 more kicking around in fairly close proximity. We think we've made one of those at Martinair.
Yeah, can you just give us a little bit more of a background on what exactly you own there, and tell us what's going on at Martinair, because I know you've made some real exciting discoveries there.
Yeah, that's been a absolutely tremendous project for us. Like I say, we kind of went up there in the fall of 2010 with a concept that said, where you've got one of these big regional scale fault systems that's gold rich, which you'd obviously do at Detour at plus 30 million ounces, then the rest of that structure should be prolific as well. And so we acquired land position. In total, it encompasses about 82 kilometers along that fault zone. Takes in about 682,000 hectares, or 682 square kilometers. And set the drills to work in early 2011, and we're relatively fortunate early on to get into this gold system at Martinair, and we've really seen this evolve from a neat set of showings to now being in the process of drilling out 4 high-grade zones up there, and with another few discoveries nearby in our back pocket to move forward on. So we've seen some spectacular intercepts out of Martinair recently, multi-ounce intercepts. We had a new zone we discovered a few weeks back, I guess a couple months back now, that return an intercept of 8 ounces over 4 meters, and it's not 8 grams, it's 8 ounces. So ounces, your in situ ounces add up very quickly when you're drilling out high grade like this, and there just aren't very many good new high grade discoveries out there in the gold space as a whole. And to have one in the shadow of Canada's biggest gold mine in a place with a rich mining history like Quebec, with Martinair is it's a great position to be in what's been a pretty tough market for the juniors, but it's a great story, and we're thrilled with the fact that we can't drill a dead hole at Martinair. we've drilled it all over. We've drilled it up to 2.5 kilometers away from the main discovery and still get significant anomalous gold out of it. So the system is big. We're still coming to grips with the scale and the size of the system, but the parts that we have seen are obviously very attractive.
Yeah, I want to get more into the high grade in a second, but let's just talk about the financial side. I know you guys are very well cashed up right now, and I know you have some warrants that just expired, and so I just curious if you know how many of those are exercised and exactly what your current cash or cash equivalence is right now, and how you're going to allocate that going forward.
Exactly. Yeah, we've been battling as you tend to when you've got a large warrant overhang in the market. We've been battling in the market with that warrant overhang, and those warrants expired this past Friday, and it ended up bringing in, it looks like, about $4.5 million. We'll have a final number here in the next couple of days. That's going to give us working capital of somewhere on the order of $19 to $20 million when we get the final numbers in later this week. So that's basically, our work program this past year was about $8 million. We got about 26,000 meters of drilling done for that $8 million. So we easily can see a $9 million plus program for this year. So we're nominally sitting on 2 years of cash reserves. I think the important thing to remember with us is that when we're spending money, we're actually getting money back, and it's kind of bizarre that way. But in Quebec, for every dollar we spend on the ground, every hard dollar we spend on the ground, we get 35 cents back. So we actually probably be able to stretch, that money in the treasury out beyond the 2-year point with that cashback program, which leaves us in great financial shape. We can be as aggressive as we want to be. We certainly want to be aggressive with what we've seen. So we'll get the drills fired up again in about 6 weeks. We've still got about 17 holes from the last program that are pending, but we'll get the drills fired up in the early part of January likely, and we'll go hard all winter, and should be able to put a significant increase on all of the zones up at Martinair, and hopefully make some new discoveries too on that broader land position. We don't ignore it while we're drilling the ounces out. You want to keep moving that forward too, just to because if there's one system like Martinair out there, odds are pretty good that there's more to find out there.
Darren, junior investors in the exploration patch, they're quite confused right now because they see so many companies being valued at $30 an ounce, and then there's some that end up being acquired for 10 times that amount, like $300 an ounce. Can you comment on why this is the case and how you potentially see Balmoral fitting in here, and what has to happen for you guys to be valued in that upper range, as I know you would love to be valued in?
Yeah, exactly. I think the things you look at when you're seeing the market valuations. Currently, this is a tough sector, and nominally you can make a pretty strong case that actual market valuations are tracking below value, and that's why you're seeing some fairly substantial premiums paid. But I think when you want to be in that upper range, which is where we were when we sold West Timmins, the things you got to look for in a company to get into that range is you've got to look for location. You obviously don't want any geographic factors, any coups or anything else weighing on the company and on the valuation of stocks. So being in Quebec is a number one, top 5 consistently in places to be in the planet to explore. You want to look for grade if you're looking at that per ounce metric, because inevitably the higher grade assets go for a better in situ valuations than lower grade ones, and we've seen a few examples in the Canadian space recently where lower grade assets are going off at 70 to 100 an ounce, higher grade ones at 200, 250 plus. So grade's important. You want to be able to demonstrate some upside beyond what's sitting in front of you. If you've completely drilled something out, the market can fully value it and is not going to give you anything for upside. If you're growing assets, if you're selling them at the point in time when they're growing, that's usually better for you as a company. And I think the other thing that plays into it is you have to be in a place where people are looking for those kind of assets, and not everybody's comfortable going to Mauritania or Guatemala or Nicaragua to look for assets like that. We sit here with I think it's 7 or 8 producing companies within 200 kilometers of our lead asset. So any one or all of those are potential play partners for us going forward. So the more people that are potentially looking at that is a bonus. So there's a lot of things that play into reaching the top end of it. But we really start that way. We start from the back end. When we go to put a new company together, we start from the back end. And you start from the back end. When I say that, really what you're looking to find is a situation where you're going to be able to maximize value. So for us, it's great jurisdiction, being in Canada, being in Quebec, a number of potential suitors in the neighborhood. The typical grade profile of gold deposits in the Abitibi is quarter ounce or better, so those are high value targets. And then it's being able to put together the kind of scale of land position where, you're normally gonna, if you're coming for us, you're coming for Martinair at the moment, but you're realizing that you're getting 20 years or 15 years of exploration in behind that with the land position that we've put together. So we really start by looking at those. That's how we picked this project. We started from the back end that says somebody, where do you want to buy an asset? Who are the buyers? What are the aspects that they're going to be looking at? And ultimately that ends up driving the best valuation for our shareholders. So if you start from that, if you start in that mindset, the odds of you getting there at the end of the day, rather than just picking up a cool project somewhere, are that much greater. It's this is a business, and you got to think of it as a business, not just about going out and finding more ounces. It's about what's the strategy, what's the business strategy of the company. We have a very, very set one here, and we're executing on it. And when we sat down, we said this is a 3 to 5 year adventure for us. And if anything, we're ahead of our sort of set pace in terms of making a discovery, starting to drill it out, putting up the kind of numbers that are going to be of interest to third parties. And I can honestly say we've got, I think it's basically every major company in the space is now on our gets our email updates, and they've all subscribed in. We didn't start with them there; they've subscribed in based on the results. So I think that's a real good indication that we're on the right track. We just got it's a question of time and drill holes for us now, and we've got the cash to execute on that.
Darren, before we close, let me just follow up on something you mentioned there early in your answer, because you were talking about how acquirers, they really want to find something that's just good already, but something that has more upside. How can you potentially drill out what you have to, show more ounces, yet at the same time you don't drill out all the upside yourself? You drill out a little bit, but you leave some upside there. Is it? I know it's kind of a technical question, but do you have any comments on how you can do that? I think if, in our case at least, a lot of that relates to the scale of the land position. We went up there with a concept that said there should be more. We've demonstrated that the concept is valid at Martinair, and that we're in the process of starting to drill that out. We've been lucky there in that we keep finding new zones, we keep adding new places where we can expand what we've got. But you've got 80 kilometers of upside sitting out there, and that if there is, the concept is valid, then there should be a lot more to be discovered over time up on that land package. So, in the background to, maybe 80% of our expenditure going directly into drilling out ounces at Martinair, we'll keep looking for more indications of Martinair or detour type systems on that broader package. And if you get to the point where you're into another one or two of these things, and a larger company is looking in at it, and they can clearly see that this thing can continue to grow, not just on the nominal lead asset, but there are a number of other opportunities through the package. And that's that's part of it, and certainly was part of with the predecessor company with West Timmins was certainly part of it. We were taken out. Actually, we were acquired before we ever had an initial resource on the lead asset there at Thunder Creek. It had a series of drill holes in it, but had never printed an actual resource number when we were acquired. So certainly, when the time and opportunity is right, if you're sitting on the other side of the equation, if you're sitting on the buyer side, when the time and opportunity is right, you're going to come for it. And it doesn't really matter whether it's, in some cases they want to see it drilled out. In other cases, they want to actually see it in production. In other cases, they look and see the opportunity that's there,
and say, well, that's an opportunity that our shareholders can benefit from as well. So it's it's a process, in every scenario is a little bit different, plays out a little bit different. But really, what you're, from our end, what we're trying to demonstrate to the market is the core valuation of the lead asset, but also to the rest of the world the potential of that land package out there and what that could mean going forward to any company.
Okay, Darren, I know you've covered a lot here, but just in case, I mean, if there's anything that you didn't cover here, maybe before we close, anything you want to mention, anything else?
No, I think, ask everybody to keep an eye on what we're doing. We trade down in the States on the OTCQX, BALMF, and then up in Canada on the Venture as BAR, great symbol. And watch this space. We've got 17 holes coming from up in Martin. We've also got a number of other 15 holes coming from a JV project where we have a third-party funding in Ontario called North Shore. And then drills firing up again in January, and very, very confident that we'll continue to grow the high-grade resources up at Martin, and continue to demonstrate to the market why this is simply one of the best high-grade gold stories out there at the current time.
Okay, Darren. Well, thanks so much for your time today and your coverage here on your company. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for the chance to have a chat with you, and good luck going forward.